Ma'am, we going live in YouTube, okay, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. मैम कैमरा ऑफ रखना नहीं तो आ जाओगे यूट्यूब में ठीक है ओके
Smallest spark ignited the fire that lights deep inside you. Suddenly, everything is possible. It is indeed true. Purpose directs passion, and passion ignites purpose. This specific quote describes my personal perspective this year. What exactly you. A TEDx event is a local gathering where live TED-like talks and performances are shared with the community. TEDx events are fully planned and coordinated independently on a short notice on a community by community basis. The content and design of each TEDx event is unique, but all of them have features in common. Thank you, Antalina. I'm sure it's very helpful for our viewers. And I'm sure many of you all have varied set of perspective towards this year's TEDx. Well, our beloved audience, the wait is now over. We at TEDxKC College have an exceptional variety of speakers today, hailing from versatile backgrounds ranging from business, finance, sports, cultural to social activists. They are here to inspire you, ignite a flame within you, and modestly share their life story and experiences. A very warm and hearty greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I, Anjali Visht, and I, Antarlina Roy, will be your host for the third edition of TEDxKC College. It is beautifully said that what you want to ignite in others must first burn inside you. The word ignite means to start something. It is the first spark that lightens the whole flame. Now you all must be wondering what exactly is the theme of TEDxKC College. Well, to understand that, we need to go back in time. Antalina, do you know how universe began? Well, the universe began with every speck of its energy jammed into a very tiny point. This extremely dense point exploded with unimaginable force, propelling matter outward to make the billions of galaxies of our vast universe. This titanic explosion is the Big Bang. And now that's what we are talking about. Our theme is the beginning of the universe because universe began with ignition. Now, before we elucidate a bit more on this theme, I would like to welcome our HSNC President, Mr. Kushu Mansukhani, Honorable Provost, HSNC University, and Trustee of HSNC Board, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, our Trustees, HSNC Board, Mr. Anil Harish, Mr. Lal Shiraram, Mr. Maya Shahani, Mr. Dinesh Panjwani, and none other than our beloved Principal, Dr. Hemlata Bagla, and respected Vice Principals, Mr. Smarajit Padi, Dr. Shalini Sinha, Dr. Tejashree Shanbag, Mr. N.M. Justin, and Mr. Dilip Ramrakhiani. Mr. Dilip Ramrakhiani has been teaching in KC College for 26 years. He has been teaching Sindhi for the last 12 years as a second language. Sir has always had a welcoming smile on his face. We also welcome our organizers, speakers, and a lovely audience. Now, I would like to shed light on the person who is a true visionary and an excellent mentor. Our dear principal, Dr. Hemlata Bagla, is the Vice Chancellor of the HSNC University. She is an academician and all-rounder when it comes to her work. She is indeed the galaxy of intellectuals. Her intellectual fervor and unparalleled passion has made TEDxKC College 3.0 reach greater heights. Now I please request Dr. Hemlata Bagla to please come and address the audience.
Introduction, I'm really overwhelmed. TEDx 3.0 marched ahead even during these tough times. We started this journey of TEDxKC College in the year 2019. TEDxKC College started its journey, the maiden flight, in the year 2019. And what did we start with? Seeing the unseen. That is the spirit of KCItes. Under the banner of HSNC University, we saw what people couldn't see. Boundaries closed. Universities stopped allowing or did not permit students to get into the boundaries, and they went back home. We started new university. We got into the smallest of details to start and establish a university without the boundary. on digital platform. The launch happened, the academic year started, and we had number of speakers igniting all of you with that thought of unseen the seen. Second TEDx event happened 2021. And my students, when they came to me and said, yet another new theme we have brought to you. And I was wondering, what was that? The ripples of life. How beautiful. I'm so thankful to you all. I'm a firm believer that every small thing you do, every small word spoken, every small step taken can have an impact, like a big bang, like the auto ignition you spoke about. It has that impact. You put that pebble in the water on one side, and on the other side, you see huge tides rising up. That is the power of that smallest thing you touch upon. That's what I believe in, and hence I took nuclear science as my profession, my career, my heart today. Even today, I think I believe in the potential of that smallest atom, and that's what the nucleus is all about. If we have a belief in the smallest atom, you are the electrons around it. So imagine the potential. You have so many elements and so many atoms within you, the potential in you. That's the reason you are going ahead. And yet another surprise to me. I keep wondering in pandemic, how would they do? And you tell me, yet another TEDx is ready. And this time, ignite. You're connecting all the dots, all the nucleuses, all the atoms, all the elements into one bottle. What is going to happen is not going to explode, is going to be, there will be a self-ignition. So congratulations to TEDx team for organizing this event. I'm delighted to be part of this. Thank you for enriching my life too by organizing such events. Today I was thinking in the morning, what do I speak? I have so much to speak and share with you. Few things I would share with you. Human progress, when we talk about it, can never have been possible, couldn't have been possible without sharing ideas. And when you have to share the ideas, you have to collaborate. When you have to collaborate, you have to believe in yourself. You can't let those ideas being in the minds, in the brilliant minds, and if they just remain in the mind, and because of lack of confidence, lack of the courage that you have to put forth, your brilliant minds, your ideas will never, ever be heard. That's the reason TEDx platforms are for. Believing in yourself, telling the stories, igniting the young minds. So Ignite was a wonderful theme which touches upon every life. So you are benchmarking yourself, not the others. And I'm really so happy. You keep check on your benchmark or your levels, and every time from 1.2 to 2.2 to 3.0, I don't know what 4.0 has to bring. So wonderful. And also there's a platform for me to welcome each one of you. We always welcome guests, but let me welcome all those who bring those guests to the institution. Your efforts are very important for an institution to go beyond and reach the greatest boundaries and greatest levels. So thank you, all the members of TEDx team of KC College, HSNC University, for bringing such laurels to this institution, bringing such activities where you have yourself taken the charge of igniting the minds. So congratulations to one another. Lastly, let me welcome the greatest speakers who you have actually invited. I was so delighted to see the wonderful list. A beautiful Delnaz Irani on one hand, who believes that she can bring in change by her experiences, and she believes that you have to strengthen your weaknesses and they have to become your strength. On the other hand, you have Kunal Vijayakar, a person who wears multiple hats and believes in the life which is full of love, life, laughter. Isn't it? And his book, do not misread, I read it, Made in India, cookbook. I think it's the first book which he has written. Thank you so much for bringing him also to us. I believe in Sushant's ideologies. It touches me. Every time I want the students to identify themselves and accept themselves in their skin. Come forth and get recognized and tell the world, change their perceptions. Tell them, this is what I am and I can bring in change. And people will start respecting you. Do not hide behind the clouds. emerge out will be moon and sun. So you have to accept your skin and tell the world that, and the world around you will become better for you and for others. So thank you, Sushant, for joining. He's a versatile singer and actor who is joining this morning, this afternoon. I also read Neha here. RJ, actress, film actress, but what I see in her is a man and a woman. She defines it fully. Her experiences will tell you how a woman carries a man. She can give birth to a man, but also can become a man because it is in her. We have with us today, who will be joining us this afternoon, I believe Sachin Gadekar. Wow, if you want to get into corporate world, if you want to walk his path, you have to see his footprints where they are very, very well clear marked on the sands of time. So you will follow his mark. He's a brilliant person who can give you actual experiences of life, such a young age, and a whole story to tell. We also have badminton player, Shubhankar Dey. Imagine this person, a young player, and when I think of him and read of him, only one quote comes to my mind, and that is, when you want to become a champion, champions should not, they will not be in gyms. Champions are never made in the gyms. They are made out of something very strong and solid in their hearts, in their minds. And what is that? A dream, a desire, and determination, discipline. All these combined together, that will be Shubhankar Day for you. Did I miss anybody? Anand Laga, chartered accountant, financial planner, finance wizard is also joining us. Wow, wonderful. And you will start planning as an investor, you will never ever lose any penny if you hear Anand Laga. So thank you so much for inviting such wonderful personalities. I feel myself so good. I wish to be with you throughout the day, but I shall take your leave. Thank you so much for once again bringing TEDx 3.0, and let me congratulate all the leaders of KC College who make it happen for all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, vice principals, and all the viewers. You have going to have a wonderful time. Learn one thing, what I carry forward, just believe in yourself, be simple, and just be what you are. You are unique you. God bless, and all the best.
Could you please inaugurate the third edition of TEDx with us?
Yes,
Yes,
sure.
ma'am, please.
So where are the cameras? Sure. Come, vice principals, come here. That is as a bus. Smarter you. Here we go. TEDx 3.0. Casey. Very nice.
Wonderful.
Ignite, innovations. It's all about innovations, innovative minds.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Anything else?
We now request our organizer, Ms. Dr. Rita Pathak, to come and felicitate our three of us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for all the support.
Fantastic.
And a small,
Why gifting me at the small?
I'll take this here.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming.
Anything else?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and send me the videos. And,
Yes.
all
Thank
the
you,
best.
ma'am.
Well done. You have teleprompter, did not teach for me. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All the best. All the
Thank
best.
you.
All.
Anjali, for a TEDx theme, I recall a few beautiful lines which perfectly goes with our theme.
Antalina, please enlighten us.
A great poet once beautifully said, "Ignite yourself from the slumber of ambiguity. Ignite your will to tread on the path of solitude unquestionably. Ignite the fire within to realize your dreams. Ignite your soul with compassion and sensitivity. For these are found nowadays only in rarity. All you have to do is ignite that flame."
It is true, Antalina. No matter what others say, do not raise your voice in fear, but do not fear to raise your voice. It is in the spirit of confidence and bravery that we must charge ahead. Boldly go when no man has gone before. Sail uncharted waters. Go forth in this brave new world to discover undiscovered solutions. The responsibility is yours. Go ignite that flame.
That was really beautiful, Anjali. Moving ahead, we would now like to elaborate on our theme, Ignite. In literal terms, is a spark or an awakening. On a more allegorical level, it could be interpreted as something one is passionate about or could symbolize the beginning of an change the world in its own unique way.
It is indeed true that one slide can ignite the spark of another. And that is what we look for in our speakers. A single ignite can start a movement. We are exploring ideas that will hopefully ignite passion, understanding, and reflection. This event will feature speakers, performers, and of course, ideas worth sharing. Before we commence, we would like to present the official TEDx video.
From Kenya to Colombia, from Iraq to Korea, in slums, in schools, in prisons, and in theaters, every day people gather at TEDx events around the world to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. Today, you are part of a global conversation about our shared future. So what is this TEDx? TEDx is an initiative of the TED Conference, a nonprofit devoted to ideas worth spreading. We grant free licenses to allow TED-like events to spread globally. This event today is based on the TED Conference format and ideals, but is independently organized by your local community. So please make sure to thank the team of volunteers who worked so hard on today's event. It's their ideas, dedication, and time that made it all possible. It's they who booked all the speakers, and the views you'll hear today are, of course, those of those speakers, not necessarily of TEDs. But we hope their talks spark an exciting conversation among you. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for openness and for critical thinking, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you'll take out. And now, on with the show.
Anjali, do you know who the first speaker for the day is? She's none other than Miss Delnaz Irani. Ms. Delna Sirani is an Indian actress. She is known for her role as Kavita Vinod Verma in the sitcom Yes Boss and as Jasprit Speetu Kapoor in the film Kal Ho Na Ho. She has also participated in the 6th season of the reality series Big Boss. She is a known face in every Indian household and has had a flourishing career in both films and television. Her welcoming and easygoing personality will surely be reflected in her TED Talk. Despite all the hurdles she has encountered, she never fails to keep the brightest smile on her face. Delnas believes in making your weakness your biggest strength.
People know your name, not your story. They've heard what you have done, but not what you have been through. They know your fame, but not the struggles that you've been through to reach and achieve the fame. And yes, there are always some struggles, but they are what makes you stronger and makes you achieve your dreams and desires. Hi friends, my name is Delna Irani and I'm sure you all must have seen me in a lot of TV serials and of course your favorite movie Kal Ho Na Ho as Sweetu, of course as Jodha in Akbar Birbal, Kavita in Yes Boss and currently as Goli Bua in Kabhi Kabhi Ittifaq Se. I'm so happy to have this interaction with you all. Really excited. Well friends, I've always wanted to be an actor from a very young age. I've always shown so much interest in theatre clubs, the fun on-stage activities for my college fest in Jai Hind. I used to enjoy being on stage and entertaining the crowd. Slowly that moved on to me wanting to try my hand at acting. Having a mentor in the family who was also a very renowned actor helped me so much in honing the art. There is one thing that wasn't left unnoticed was my weight. Since childhood, I've been a little on the heavier side, which was fine when I was younger, but it started becoming a regular comment when I got older. Even when I was auditioning for roles, I would often get roles that were meant for a quintessential bubbly girl. Even then, I remember some of the lines had some jokes about my weight. Sadly enough, the early 2000s, there wasn't awareness about size inclusivity. If you were overweight, you weren't fit enough. And this was around the same time where I auditioned to be Sweetu. And I fit the description of the bubbly, funny, next door neighbor girl. Over the years, with all my learning experiences and all the ups and downs that I went through, I learned a lot about acceptance. I decided that the most subversive and revolutionary thing that I could do is show up for myself and accept my flaws. When you start to accept the reality of who you are and what your shortcomings are, you're free to focus on how to make those flaws your biggest strength. All these years I've been manifesting to play a role that was different from the usual fun-loving roles that I've done so far, be it Yes Boss, Jamai Raja, Akbar Birbal, or even Kehta Hai Dil Ji Le Zara, to reality shows like Big Boss, and then to movies like Kal Ho Na Ho. I've always played a comic role and everyone has always loved and adored my roles. As an actor, I have always wanted to expand my horizons and showcase my versatility, portray roles that aren't just comic. I used to always question that who would take that opportunity and give me a role different from the usual. Well, Goli Bua on Kabhi Kabhi Ittifaq Se, a role that is so different from what I usually play. Once you start to own your weaknesses, they become your strength because your perfect imperfection will lead you to a change. That's exactly how I started to look at my life. I decided that whatever I do and whenever I do it, I will do it with a whole lot of positivity, hard work, and zeal to be the best version on myself. People often ask me, Delnas, how are you always so positive? How do you deal with people who body shame you? It's easy. Once you accept who you are, nothing that anyone says to you will bother you, because that's no new information. Other than that, I just tend to block out the negativity by understanding that it's no use to dwell on the nonsense. Concentrate on happiness, and that is what will attract. Yes, we all have sad days. I also do have sad days, but I focus on the good things that happen in my life on those days. Things that make me happy. Positive thinking isn't just about expecting the good to happen every time, but it's about accepting that whatever is happening is the best for that moment. So I want to encourage you all to practice acceptance in your daily life, in the small and bigger things you do. Just stay true to yourself, friends, and see how life changes. Before I leave, I would like to leave all of you with a quote. Accept yourself and keep moving forward. If you want to fly, you have to focus on your strengths and not something that weighs you down. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you everybody, and keep loving Delnaz Urf Sweetu.
What a mesmerizing talk it was. I'm sure you would have seen much more sides of her personality than just her bubbly one. Her journey is truly enlightening.
Our second speaker for the day is Anant Lada. Mr. Anant Lada is a financial advisor who openly advocates for financial literacy amongst the masses. He has completed his CA, CFA, LLB, and has conducted 100 plus financial literacy sessions covering more than 15,000 people. He's frequently featured in all leading magazines and newspapers, be it Times, Money Life, or state-owned media houses. He was awarded by the Rajasthan government for his financial literacy sessions on ISBN August 2017. He's indeed a finance wizard. He has an abundance of knowledge and ideas to share with the youth.
Have you ever tried calling on your own number from your phone? It will always come busy. In the same way, we have time for everyone in life, for our friends, family, colleagues. But for one person for whom we don't have time is we our own self. Life is all about exploring our own capabilities and improving along the way. And believe me, with my story, you will realize that anything can be achieved provided you plan for it. But yes, if you fail to dream, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Don't fear failure. Fear being in the exact same place as you are today, even in the next year. This is a story of underconfident boy from Kota whose hand used to tremble while giving speeches to becoming a person who embraced growth on his way. The journey of attaining confidence and succeeding in delivering more than 20,000 students in a single go. From losing in equity market during juvenile college days to becoming a full-time market participant. This is a story of failures, setbacks, negative peer pressures to accomplishment and friends for life. Eventually, there were two paths which were leading me into my future. Let me simplify it for you. I studied in modern school and I was an introvert till the age of 15. I rarely spoke to any girl even though I was studying in a co-ed school. And public speaking, believe me, was something I completely dreaded of. Things finally start to turn around when I chose commerce in 11th class. It was a class of 50 students where there were more than 35 girls and less than 15 boys. I had no option but to interact with my opposite gender. When I was in 12th class, out of complete surprise, I was nominated as the head boy of my school. But after hearing this news, all I could think of was my glossophobia and the number of speeches I will have to give as the head boy of the school. As a result, I asked my principal to remove me from my position. But Weber sir had full faith in me. So I trusted his decision and continued with what I had already received. And I think it was his confidence that has made me who I am today. Nevertheless, when I was tasked with my first assignment of delivering a speech in front of my whole school, I was scared. To say the least, I could not even sleep the night before. And as a result, it went like a nightmare. I had been preparing for those 2 pages for 5 days only to speak half a day. But I chose to see the brighter side of it. That day, I had faced the biggest fear of my life. I literally spoke in front of 3,000 plus students at a single time. And this perspective changed everything from there on. From then on, every time I was in front of mic, I could feel the confidence. And with time, the nervousness started to disappear. The last year of my college taught me so much. I think finally you can believe me that I don't fear stages finally anymore. Everyone has something special about them. It is only the lack of overcoming the fear that stands in your way to success. And if you want to make it big in life or market, you need to have conviction on your own conviction. Nothing great was ever achieved without it. I come from a family of financial professionals. I am third generation into the markets. My grandfather started his broking business in 1980s and my father joined him in 1990s. I still remember that in my childhood were completely filled with CNBC and not with Cartoon Network. I remember when I was in 8th class, I used to sit with my grandfather while he was trading and he used to teach me small things about market. He used to teach me how to put orders. It was all like a video game for me. Flashy lights, ever-changing numbers, and I used to completely love it. I also enjoyed making dummy money at the dummy sessions held in the exchange. Started feeling that I know everything about this market. And fast forward to 12th, my economic teachers used to love everything about market. And she used to discuss about market almost in every of her lectures. And I used to rave about knowledge of the same in order to impress others in my class. I even read more than 20 plus books on financial market just to impress everyone in my class. After that, I cleared my 12th, CPT and IPCC with flying colors. And I decided to come to the city of dreams. Ultimately, Mumbai is and has the biggest market. I started as an intern in EY, which gave me the best headshot for my career. There every day, interesting conversations about markets, charts, latest news, latest market movements used to happen, and I used to simply love it. And it felt though as if I was made for trading. After all, I had already made money during dummy trading sessions for almost 5 years plus. Just like that, I started trading in Mumbai as well. But all my confidence, rather I should say my overconfidence, came crashing down and I was actually losing money in market. Even if I made money in one transaction, I used to lose even more money in my next transaction. After some time, I came to Kota for Diwali vacations and sat down with my father and discussed everything. And I kid you not, I was surprised to see the reaction of my father. He was actually very happy that I was losing money because he thought that if I had made money in market, I would not be able to focus on my CA final exams and I would have failed in my exam. Coming back, I was prohibited from trading and he asked me to solely focus on my studies till my CA exam. I learned a very important lesson right there. Never compromise with your studies for money or for market or for anything else. First clear your exams, get a good qualification and then come into the markets. Post clearing my CA, my father himself gave me 25 lakh rupees of his own for me to trade in the market. I was so scared that for the first 6 months, I never ever dared to use more than 5 lakh rupees. I didn't want to make the same mistake that I did earlier. But this time, I had more real life experiences, that too from my own father and grandfather. Also, I set some rules for myself and finally, things started to turn around for me. It's always necessary to have a balanced approach of both book and street learning while focusing on a time-tested process to make it big in the market. Also, as a young aspirant of your dream, try to keep your feet on the ground. Coming to a city like Mumbai, naturally, even I got very excited, and in that excitement, I got distracted. And even I got involved in some bad companies, but luckily, I had some very good friends who eventually brought me on the right track. The extreme change in environment had brought me to both positive and negative ends of the spectrum. Friendships are something that we choose on our own. So be very careful about choosing who is your friend and who is not, because a good circle can eventually turn around things for you, while a bad one can ruin your life completely. I was fortunate enough to have good bunch of people around me. Like Avanti used to make me attend the classes, and if not, I had quite a bit of explaining to do. Mohit and Chandan, on the other hand, helped me during my CA exams, especially when I was struggling emotionally. Mudit, Mohini, Darshan, Narendra, my colleagues helped me in the office and protected me like their family. They used to even protect me from the negative peer pressure. My passion for market and speaking got blended as I observed that most of the people are not financially literate in India, and it has become the need of the hour. In the beginning, we launched over 200 plus financial literacy sessions and educated over 20,000 plus people. And we even got recognized by Rajasthan government for our initiative. I absolutely loved conducting these lectures and talking to people about financial awareness and helping them become financial literate. The next step in this direction came through Invest Aaj for Kal by the end of 2018. By the way, my first 1,000 subscribers were gained by me by going in various conferences and events and literally requesting people for their phones and subscribing my channel through their phone. But our 1.5 years of consistent efforts were coming to a stalemate. Even after uploading more than 200 plus videos, we just had over 25,000 subscribers, and the only view which I got were from my existing clients or my friends and family. But as they say, before giving you anything big, God tests you that whether you deserve it or not. And for me and my family, and even for my wife who supported me all throughout, it was testing time for all of us. But finally, things started to turn around when in Feb 2020, we were awarded as the Creator on the Rise Award from YouTube India. Our channel got featured in the trending list for next 24 hours. We got over 6,000 subscribers in a single day and over 6 lakh views in a single day. And it finally motivated me. Today, we are a family of more than 8 lakh subscribers on YouTube and 2 lakh plus people on Telegram and growing. Well, my story has not ended yet. There is so much more to achieve and to experience. So many doors of opportunity to open and lessons to learn. I am stepping into the new phase and next phase of my life with many more chapters and stories to come. Hopefully igniting new ways, new pathways for others along the way. And what life is all about is quitters never win and winners never quit. Keep growing and keep improving yourself on a daily basis.
That was indeed inspiring. And I myself believe that change happens when you step out of your comfort zone. Its firm resolve is truly a predicament of continuous growth and learning. Next up, we have something very special. By our very own first year college student. He has been into singing since his childhood and has learned Hindustani classical music. Presenting to you one and only Mr. Aman Bhojwani.
किसी को सपना लगे तू, किसी को बहती हवा, किसी की बस यादों में करे हलचल सारा जहां, किसी के 100 झूठ सुन ले, किसी का सच भी गुनाह, किसी की बस यादों में करे हलचल सारा जहां. Ti amo, Ti amo, tu छाँव है, तू धूप है. Ti amo, ni amo, तेरे हजारों रूप है. कोई समझे नहीं, जो भी है बस खूब है. तुम मिले तो मिल गया ये जहां. तुम मिले तो हर पल है नया. तुम मिले तो मैंने पाया ऐ खुदा के दरखास्त है ये, जो आई रात है ये. तू मेरी बाहों में दुनिया बुला दे. ना जिया जिंदगी एक पल भी तुझसे होके जुदा. सुन जरा बिन तेरे मुझसे नाराज का दिल. तू मेरी है तो है कह रहा कि तेरे लिए दुनिया छोड़ दी है. तुझ पे ही सांस आके रुके. मैं तुझको कितना चाहता हूँ ये तू कभी सोच ना सके. तेरे लिए दुनिया छोड़ दी है. तुझ पे ही सांस आके रुके. मैं तुझको कितना चाहता हूँ ये तू कभी सोच ना. तू नज्म नज्म सा मेरे होठों पे ठहर जा. मैं ख्वाब ख्वाब सा तेरी आंखों में जागूं रे. तू इश्क इश्क सा मेरे रूह में आके बस जा. जिस ओर तेरी शहनाई उस ओर मैं भागूं. ओ मुस्कुराना भी तुझी से सीखा है. दिल लगाने का तू ही तरीका है. एतबार भी तुझी से होता है. आओ ना होश में मैं कभी. बाहों में है तेरी जिंदगी. उसे नैना जब से मिले. उसे नैना जब से मिले बन गए सिलसिले. Okay, so this is for all the Atif Aslam fans out there. ना मैं जानू ना तू जाने कैसा है ये मौसम. कोई ना जाने कहीं से ये हवा आई. गमों की धूप ये संग लाई. खफा हो गए हम, जुदा हो गए हम. वो लम्हे वो बातें कोई ना जाने. थी कैसी यादें वो बरसाते. वो भीगी भीगी यादें. इतना सोना क्यों रब ने बनाया. इतना सोना क्यों रब ने बनाया. आवाज आवाती मैं यारानू बनावा. आवाज आवाती मैं यारानू बनावा. इतना सोना इतना सोना इतना सोना. तुम क्यों चले आते हो हर रोज इन ख्वाबों में. चुपके से आ भी जाओ एक दिन मेरी बाहों में. तेरी सपनों में अंधेरों में उजालों में कोई नशा है तेरी आंखों के प्यालों में. तू मेरे ख्वाबों में सवालों में जवाबों में. हर दिन चोरा तुम्हें मैं लाता हूँ ख्यालों में. क्या मुझे प्यार है या ऐसा खुमार है या. क्या मुझे प्यार है या ऐसा खुमार है आपको। पानी दा रंग वेख के, पानी दा रंग वेख के, पानी दा रंग वेख के, मेरी अखियां जो अंजूर उड़ दे, अखियां जो अंजूर उड़ दे। ला 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 ला, वो 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 वो। हसीनों ने बुलाया, गले से भी लगाया, बहुत समझाया यही ना समझा, बहुत भोला है बेचारा, न जाने किस पे आएगा, है अपना दिल तो आवारा, न जाने किस पे आएगा। दिल देखे देखो, दिल देखे देखो, दिल देखे देखो जी, दिल देने वालों दिल देना सीखो जी, दिल देने वालों दिल देना सीखो जी। पूछू 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 परवाने से जरा, धीरे धीरे चलने में कैसा है मजा, अरे तुम भी दिल दे के जल जाना सीखो जी। सर जो तेरा चकराए, क्या दिल डूबा जाए, आजा प्यारे पास हमारे, काहे घबराए, काहे घबराए। सुन सुन सुन, अरे बेटा सुन, इस चंपी में बड़े बड़े गुण, लाख दुखों की एक दवा है, क्यों ना आजमाए, काहे घबराए, काहे घबराए। ये चांद सा रोशन चेहरा, जुल्फों का रंग सुनहरा, ये झील सी नीली आंखें, कोई राज इनमें गहरा, तारीफ करूं क्या उसकी जिसने तुम्हें बनाया। आजकल तेरे मेरे प्यार के चर्चे हर जुबान पर, सबको मालूम है और सबको खबर हो गई, और क्या। आजकल तेरे मेरे प्यार के चर्चे हर जुबान पर, सबको मालूम है और सबको खबर हो गई। उठ सबके कदम देखो रम पम पम, आज ऐसे गीत गाया करो, कभी खुशी कभी गम, तारा रम पम पम, हंस और हंसाया करो।
Thank you so much, Amar. Such a wonderful story. Our third speaker for the day is Mr. Sachin Garekar. Mr. Sachin Garekar is an astute professional currently working as a strategic negotiator for Google and is a part of its global network acquisition team. He has had over 19 years of experience in contributing to the growth of framework and business of the telecom sector with a specialization in network infrastructure. His story will not only inspire and ignite the youngsters targeting the corporate world, but also the non-partisans, non-conventional, ambitious individuals who propose to achieve their dreams passionately. He is also a firm believer in the significance of relationships that one builds along their way.
From aspiring to be a cricketer to falling in love with computers, I have had fair share of fancy visions and visions for my life. But the only thing that stayed with me throughout this time was my desire to interact and learn from whatever curveball life would throw at me. 21 years in the ever-changing corporate world has been a roller coaster, to say the least, and I haven't even half finished this ride. Hi, I'm Sachin Gadekar, strategic negotiator for Google Global Network Acquisition, and I'm here to have enriching conversation with our striving, ambitious youngsters. I grew up in a humble middle class family with my father working for Provident Fund and my mother being a homemaker. I was into cricket a lot from the very beginning and had dreamt of playing for India one day. We used to live in Borivali, and in those days, the proper cricket coaching only used to happen at Shivaji Park. And naturally, my parents wouldn't send me there alone out of concern. So the only time I could go there for practice was during my summer vacations, where my mother would accompany me and we would travel by local train. And rest of the year, I would just play nearby home, some friends in famous gully cricket. I remember watching Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kambli practicing in the next to me when they just had made a world record. I was junior to them, but I thought to myself that I want to be like them. But as I progressed further, I realized that just practicing for 2 months wasn't enough for what I wanted to achieve. And since I didn't live nearby, it wasn't really impractical for me to continue like this. But those lessons and efforts stayed with me for a long time during my school and college cricket days. Cricket's sports aside, during those days, there were only career options available with only three paths: arts, commerce, and science, and finding a suitable job was a basic norm. Around the time of my ninth and 10th grade, I had decided that I would become an engineer. The computer used to entice me and always how things used to get communicated. So I decided to become a telecommunication engineer. Although it wasn't a popular field at that time and it was new, and I thought that I would want to be part of it, to do something related to it at the IT industry, and opened up some new great possibilities for network development. I completed my telecommunication engineering from Pune University and then my PGDBM from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies. And those years, they completely changed my view of the world and who I am as a person. It ignited a new in me. I learned how to present myself in front of others. They were my developmental years, and not just academically, but shaped my personality. And I got to know so many different people from different parts of the country and how we would learn from each other, all new things. I have found myself a group of friends and we would stay with each other for rest of the life. We call ourselves Kurukshetrians and we have been sharing our love for trekking since those days, since we all met. Once we went on a trip to a nearby mountains and lost the correct route, where we lost the supply for water, and we roamed around in a circle and circle quite for a long time, while before we figured out the right path. The only thing that got us through these obstacles was our friendship, and the friendship was very strong, and the faith in each other. We knew we could rely on each one of us together and we could come out of this victorious. And this wasn't just the case for our fun trips. We had each other's back when it comes to studies and curriculum as well. We never saw ourselves as competitive counterparts of one of another, but just the friends of a bunch of friends who wanted to nothing but the best for everyone. We solved others' doubts and had group studies sessions during exams, along with having a great time. Today, all my friends are doing really well in their lives and careers. It makes me happy to have shared my naive and lively experience with them. The dot-com bubble had just burst during my graduation and have ravaged the job market not just in India but across the globe, leading a huge layoff for the experienced employees as well. So, who would want to have a newly graduate telecom engineer with no previous experience? And with no placement opportunity from the college, the job search had become really a big task. Those 6 to 9 months were like a nightmare. There used to be a great supplement called Ascent from the Times of India, where one could go and look for the jobs, for different vacancies available in the market. Also, if I got to know from someone that the interviews was happening, I would just go for a walk-in and then I would try my luck. It wasn't easy because you want to go to do something in your choice that you worked hard for. And if it's not happening, you tend to put pressure on yourself. That's where you need to reach out to people close to you and talk to them and about it, and not go keep inside a rabbit hole with the mindset. The only trustworthy network that I had were my friends. Some of them had started working in Delhi, in Bangalore, and when we parted away from each other, and they used to help each other during those times. Finally, I got a trainee's role in a Hughes Telecom through a friend's reference. It was a private operator service provider in Maharashtra. It was later acquired by Tata Teleservices. There were a total of 21 trainees who joined together, and I was one of them. And obviously, there was no job guarantee after a year. We would become a permanent after a year. I wasn't really scared of this. I would get it or not, because I believed that 12 months was good enough of time to prove myself, and the job market at that time was really cruel. So this was my chance to have something to fall back on. It was a shift role where not a lot of engineering concepts were required, but implementation on operations, so there was a lot of scope for learning the new things. And I thought to myself, the more I learn in these 12 months, the more opportunity I will have to showcase my talent. If not here, somewhere else. I remember used to stay there way past my shift time. I felt that I could learn a lot from the other guys as well, especially in the night shifts. I used to leave at around 9. Those months, I put all my heart together, served together in my work, and that yielded the results for me. At the end of 1 year, out of 21 of us, 2 were selected as a permanent positions, and I was one of them, and I really loved working there. I took more of a planning role in my second job at Reliance Communications. At that time, it used to call Reliance Infocom. I spent there about 4 years, and I learned how to organize the backend things. Since I worked on the field earlier, it gave me a good opportunity. It gave me a good perspective how things works on the field, how things works technically on the ground. Earlier, I got experience how to overcome these challenges, like when a network is down, who will go in the shift, who will do the operations on the side, etc., etc. Those past experiences helped me in my new role. And I realized that as a part of having this role, it's very extremely important to maintain the relationships, how things goes further, how you interact with people at the corporate office, and as a planner, you have to make sure things that the things are getting done with the assigned within the assigned budget for each project. I made a switch from Reliance to Huawei, working there for a year. That time played an important role in my career. That time played an important role in my career. My new position was basically on the business side of the things. Then I started a job at Sienna as a solutions and pre-sales engineer, and soon I moved into a senior manager and a team leader role. After a few years, I moved from the pre-sales solutions engineer to a sales leader role, where I managed few accounts. And about for 7 to 8 years, I managed the accounts like Facebook, Microsoft in a director role at that company. And I was able to construct my career in a where I learned something new at every nook and corner while achieving my goal of administrating business aspects, coming from a technical background. I always wanted to be on the other side of the table. That's working for overall growth of a development of an organization and its personnel. That's why I'm shifted to Google to work on a structuring activities as a strategic negotiator. I have always changed my job profile in 4 to 5 years, and because I believe it is necessary within the corporate world. You not only get bored but can also face stagnation in growth if you become complacent. When there is nothing new to learn in your surroundings, and the day you stop to learn, the day you stop to grow. Don't be afraid of experimenting. You never know what new you will discover from an unprecedented source. I cannot explain the things I have got to learn and explore with my son. His curiosity has taught me the value of different perspectives. So from time to time, put yourself forward for the new challenges by trying everything that interests you. That's the way you are not only enhancing your career but also an empirical life. Also, keeping a balance between professional and personal life is extremely important. Maintain your relationships. Take time out to go and talk to people. Enjoy your leisure activities, whatever time you want to spend. I still do a trek with my friends twice a year, and it all seems like yesterday when we were used to live together in the hostel. You must be thinking it is all said very smoothly for me, but it was the people and desire of trying new things around me that didn't create much friction for me. I can signal out significance of good connections and accords I have had. In this long career of mine, I can proudly say my contemporaries have played a vital role and have pushed me to do better. And my wife has been one of them. She has been my backbone throughout thick and thin. And coming from the same field of understood, she understood me and also my path, especially the struggles that I came through. She has been the constant that pushes me to do better, to be better. So don't be afraid of failing while trying. Just don't give up on your dreams just cause of one setback. When you graduate next till 12 to 24 months in your time, it's important for you to understand yourself and go out into you're passionate about. It's time where you have the leeway of pursuing your dream without any pressure. Keep that in momentum ignited in you, and if you are not certain about one thing, try everything that interests you. Then decide what direction you want to go. you can see that yourself. Cause if you don't experiment during this time, then it's very difficult to do the same thing maybe after 3 years or 4 years, because you have already established yourself on one path or another. That transition would be the ultimate risk that anyone can take. It's not impossible, of course, but it's not feasible as well. And social pressures definitely will play a big role. So put yourself forward in this world and plan on leaving your imprint over it. Thank you very much.
Knowledge has power. It controls access to opportunity and advancement. This speech has truly portrayed the definition of true knowledge and the importance of surrounding ourselves with the right people.
Our fourth speaker for the day is Kunal Vijaykar. Mr. Kunal Vijaykar is a broadcaster, food writer, author, actor, and a television personality. A whole generation has watched him eat his way into the hearts of hundreds and thousands of Indians. He's India's most recognizable food show host and the anchor of the country's most popular food show, The Foodie with Kunal Vijaykar, a show which ran uninterrupted for 9 years, completing close to 500 episodes. He has been a food columnist and writer with the Times of India, Bombay Times, DNA, Asian Age, The Week, and Mahanagar. He's currently a food writer and columnist with the Hindustan Times. He's the author of Made in India, his first cookbook. He's the director of the political satirical show, The News That Wasn't and The Week That Wasn't on CNN News 18. His vivid experience towards a wide array of fields make him a perfect speaker for our TEDx.
Sometimes it's hard to express yourself, but these days it's become even harder to be true to yourself. I believe there is a thin line of difference between individualism and narcissism. You must be thinking, why am I talking about this here? Because I've admitted to being a free spirited soul earlier. But when I look back and take stock, it does look like I've always done what has kindled my mind. Hi, I'm Kunal Vijaykar, and I'm a broadcaster, actor, YouTuber, food writer, and I'm forever hungry. Amongst the things I have done in my life, I studied art at the JJ School of Art. I spent 11 years in advertising. I've acted in plays, performed at children's birthday parties, hosted events, directed a film, hosted a food show that has run for 9 years, and I've done a TV show that has run for 15 years and is still running. I've put on weight, I've lost weight, I've put on weight again and continue to do so every few years. I grew up in South Mumbai and had a fairly comfortable life. No stories of great hardship or struggle here. Although one never knows how circumstances affect you when you are a child. Now, when I look back, I can try and identify things that may have happened to me in my early years, which may have left a large impact on where life has taken me. I like to look upon those things, those unfortunate things and incidents, as incidents that actually turned my life around. Maybe, just maybe, for the better. I was 6 years old when my father passed away. And since I was so young, I couldn't feel or understand the amount of loss that had occurred in our lives. All I was aware was that my mother had 2 young children to look after, me, 6 years old, and my younger sister, 2 years old. But with support from her family, my grandparents, her own courage, she never let us feel the lack of anything at all. Be it education, holidays, food, eating out, clothes, entertainment, movies, dinners, anything at all. My father, who passed away, worked for Mazgon Docks which is a shipbuilding yard in Mumbai. We lived in a closed, gated community at the docks. Everyone there was a shippy. Everybody was out at sea. The sea and ships were just a few meters away from where we lived. We watched ships being built. We watched them being launched. We played games about ships. We built model ships. I even drew ships. And a lot of my friends there did grow up and finally go out to sea. The chances are I would have as well. Though today I cannot imagine being on a ship, working in the engine room, out at sea for months. I don't even have the aptitude. But life had other plans. My father passed away and we moved out of Masgon Docks to Marine Drive to my grandparents' home. And that chapter ended there and the ships sailed away. Life changed. Influences changed. Strangely, food became an integral part of my life. My grandfather's influence and interests rubbed off me. Food, from the very beginning, was already a big part of my life. My mother and both my grandmothers were amazing cooks, but both my grandfathers were diabolically in love with food. And not just our usual meals, the extravagant dishes that one would just hear of in books, restaurants, and movies. We went out, we ate out, we went to restaurants, we went to the club every Saturday. That was the routine, that was our family thing, that was our culture, eating out. Ships and engineering were left far behind. Also, art surrounded me. I started drawing more. I explored other interests like acting, costume, makeup, sets, all on an amateur level. Theatre or school drama had become almost the greatest place for me to not only show my self-expression, but also to develop and discover someone who I hadn't even met yet, myself. Sketching and drawing were my safe space. Life had changed, and I actually liked the change that happened in my life. As far as studies were concerned, I was shambolic in studies. I was so bad that I could make out I had no successful future in academics whatsoever. So I thought, why not pursue something that I actually love doing, acting? But I was a spoiled kid with middle-class values of security and stability. Who wanted to go bouncing from one audition to another, waiting to get the part and struggling? What better way to find a vocation that was already stable and steady? So I set my mind on joining something a little more stable and steady, which is catering college, because I like to cook, or work in a hotel and all that, or join architecture. Join a school of architecture, pursue a creative field. So I decided that I'd do my 11th standard science, although I hated science. I hated mathematics. But I required 12th standard science to join a catering college or architecture college in those days. In the 10th standard, I had got a bare minimum marks in the 3 sciences. Okay, that's at the ICSE. Exams for taking science, and the only reason I managed to get admission was that the principal of the college was my mother's ex-professor, and he just, I think, pitied my situation, my marks. But then again, he gave me admission, but then again, life had other plans. Trust me, everything went wrong. I did very badly because I had no interest in science. Even today, I find it so difficult to do things I'm not interested in. I just find it difficult, and I find there's no point in wasting my efforts when I know I'm putting them half-heartedly just for the sake of it in things that I have no interest in. So I failed, or in more polite words, I ducked my 12th standard HSC. Not once, but twice. I just couldn't get my head around the physics and the math. Until today, I make mistakes with numbers. So much so that even with a calculator, I'm terrible. I make mistakes with a calculator. That's how bad I am. So what was the option I had? I had to pursue my other interests, food and art. Or maybe the only other good thing I was at, which is art, really. And so I started seeking a college that would give me admission based on my 10th standard marks because I had such bad marks in the 11th standard. I managed to appear for the entrance exam at the JJ School of Art. The what you needed was a 10th standard pass, and I got admission for the Bachelor of Fine Art course, Applied Art or Commercial Art as we call it in those days. There, I studied and trained to go into advertising. Advertising, again, something that was creative and design related. I could see myself doing it in the future, making a job of it, earning a salary. And I now thank my stars that I failed my HSC because whatever happened to me next wasn't part of my plan. It just happened and I went with the flow, and I'm just so glad where it has taken me, where it took me, and what I do today. I'm a firm believer that sometimes bad things in life turn out to be good for you in a way that you can only comprehend in the future. So after completing my college, that's JJ, I started with an advertising agency called Ticonas, and I had quite a good time doing it. I met the most fascinating man over there, the boss and the owner of the agency, called Sylvester Ticona. Our firm there had a very strong theatre culture. My boss did plays in his off time. He was quite famous. Also, our CEO, Dabholkar in those days, he did plays as well. So when Sylvie Ticona wanted to cast a Maharashtrian in a play, he asked me if I would be a part of it. And I obviously said yes. That's when I started doing acting seriously and regularly and doing theatre regularly. So we did plays in the evening. In the day, I wrote advertising campaigns. And one of my favorite advertising campaigns were the Amul Butter ads, which we wrote and the agency handled. And they are so iconic because of the situational, topical humor that is created over current affairs. Along with that, I also used to write a comedy column for the Times of India. Later on, the editor spoke to me about converting that same comedy column into a food column. So there was comedy, acting, theatre, and food. And although I was no professional in food or journalism, I just started writing because I love food and my own experience about food. And I started talking about some great food and insane recipes and food habits and trends. Suffice to say, I was very content by now with my personal and my professional life. I was writing, I was designing, so everything I really wanted to do was happening for me. It was the most wonderful time of my life, and all my interests were getting tested frequently. I also met my closest friends in theatre, friends who I work with, who I holiday with, and also spend most of my time with till today. From then, with time, I started getting television work, which I continue doing on the side, soon realizing that I was making more money and having more fun doing acting and television than advertising. So I quit and I started doing television full-time, acting that is. Then came the show, The Foodie on Times Now. It wasn't just a cookery show, but it was a platform to showcase different styles of cuisines and food. And I was the host, I was the one tasting all the food, and I'm also getting paid for it. What better life can you ask for? This is how my journey began in the industry, in the food business, in the television business, still going on. One more life disaster had turned into a positive thing. My bad luck was actually my good luck. One other thing that stayed with me from my advertising days and the Amul Butter advertising was my love for topical humor. It's just brilliant to be able to comment sometimes on topical subjects, crack jokes about them. And that is how I got to be part of a show called The Week That Wasn't, which I do with Cyrus Brocha, where I play outrageously exaggerated characters and he hosts. We've been doing it for the last 15 years. We've written this show together, and we have a team that has stayed with us all this time. As an offshoot of all this, I even tried directing a feature film. And I did. When we were approached by a renowned journalist and film producer called Pritish Nandi, he came up with this idea about making a feature film with the kind of humor that we were using on the week that wasn't. Finally, things may not have worked out with Mr. Nandi, but I did get together with Brocha and make this film. Friends I had made along the way through theatre and life, Cyrus Brocha, Baman Irani, all came through and were part of this film. The film, however, flopped miserably. Maybe Fruit and Nut, the film I directed, was a bit ahead of its time, or maybe it was not a good film, maybe it was a bad film, maybe I was not a good director, maybe I was a bad director. And I honestly think I'm not a great script writer for films as well. And as I said, I don't like doing things that I don't think I'm good at, I don't have a temperament for, so I've decided I'm not going to try that again. I'm going to stick to what excites me. And that is food, and that's comedy, and that's news. The future, of course, as you all know, is in the digital medium, and I've taken my first step with a food channel on YouTube called Khane Mein Kya Hai. I should have done this 8 or 9 years ago, but what the hell? It's better late than never. The channel is hardly 9 months old. We've already got over 160,000 subscribers organically. My food videos average at about 3 to 4 lakh views. Some videos have touched a couple of million and more. I'm just loving it. It's in my control. I like what I'm doing. I get to travel, discover places, new foods, meet interesting people, and hopefully make a few bucks along the way. Honestly, what more do you need? I've got this and I don't need much more. I take a small step back and I just want to be there. I don't want to stop working, but I want to focus on the things that bring me joy. Like painting, maybe a bit more, maybe doing a little more theatre. Oddly, isn't that what I have always done through my life? Done whatever pleased me, what I felt comfortable doing. God, you must be thinking this, that I started off saying I'm an individualist and not a narcissist. But all I've done is talk about myself, me, myself. But I'm trying to make a point. The point being that the only constant thing in life is change. My life changed and I tried to make the best of it. I could not control the changes, but I tried my best to embrace the change and move forward. My life is changing even today. My friends are changing. The work is changing. My body is changing. Even the pandemic has changed everything. The way we meet, the way we eat, the way we work, everything has changed. But we must roll with the punches, accepting the changes and exploring new avenues. So, 2 lessons that I've learned along the way. Embrace every situation that is thrown at you. You will be stressed. You will be worried. And you will panic. But you will prevail. And secondly, as someone wise said, the first step of being happy in life is to be true to oneself, which means being completely honest with what you feel, deeply value and desire, irrespective of whether you tell others or not, whether they know your true self or not, as long as you know your true self, most important. And you need to cultivate a deep and trusting relationship with yourself. To thine self be true. So it is up to you, each of us, to be courageous enough to bring forth our own truth, expressing it fully and wholeheartedly, first with yourself and then, if you want, with others. Ignite the truth in yourself and you will be on fire. Thank you very much.
What a cheerful talk it was with the one and only Kunal Vijayakar. I'm sure his love for food has us all appetizing. His journey made us believe that we too shall learn to embrace the growth and channelize the energies within us.
Our next performer is a second-year media student. This artist goes by the motto of creators may pass away, but their creations remain forever. He goes by the pen name of Qasid, which in Urdu means messenger. Inspired by legendary and modern-day writers, he tries to write and present human emotions. You'll see a reflection of society and himself in his stories and poetry. Presenting before you, Mr. Shubhojit Sanpuri.
Hello. Audible? So, thanks for the introduction. Normally, before I start my poetry, I say these lines about my art. So, तुम हाल देखते हो और मैं हालात लिखता हूँ. तुम हाल देखते हो और मैं हालात लिखता हूँ. तुम शब्द देखते होंगे मेरे दोस्त. तुम शब्द देखते होंगे मेरे दोस्त, पर मैं जज्बात लिखता हूँ. मैं जज्बात लिखता हूँ. So, as I said before, being an artist or being a writer is not easy. In fact, being anything that you dream for, you desire for, is not easy. Chasing behind your dreams brings a lot of satisfaction, plus hopelessness and uncertainty with it. So, to be a little more hopeful, I wrote this piece, which goes by the title of Ummeed Ke Kuch Badal. So here it goes. जब पल पल है बहते और लब खामोश ही रहते, जब पल पल है बहते और लब खामोश ही रहते, मन चाहे कुछ कहना पर कुछ भी न कहते, तब बादलों के साए कुछ खुद को छुपाए, चले गम का कोई काफिला खुद ही उठाए, पर पहुंचाता हो सुकून जैसे मेरी अम्मी का आंचल, प्रेम भरा हो जिसमें निर्मल और निश्चल, मैं जकड़ा हूँ जैसे हो आस पास निराशा हताशा ना उम्मीदी के दलदल, तभी देखता हूँ मैं उस अनंत को देखने उम्मीद के कुछ बादल, उम्मीद के कुछ बादल. जानते हो बादल पर रंग सफेदी है छाई, बह रहे हैं लेकर लेकिन जमाने की तन्हाई, भोर भरे भाप का बोझ यूं उठाकर कुछ नम आंखों से बूंदे बरस भी न पाई. खैर उड़ता देख उन्हें आसमां में मुझको होता ये यकीन कि एक भार लेकर मुश्किलों का भी उड़ना अगर तुम ठान लो तो है मुमकिन, पर देख खूबसूरती को उसके हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कैद करने जो है असीम, और मैं गिन रहा हूँ बैठकर बादल आसमां में, और मैं गिन रहा हूँ बैठकर उस बादल आसमां में, ताकि बढ़ सके भरोसा और हो हर हयाते शाम आफरीन, और हो जिंदगी की हर शाम आफरीन. फलक के अलग अलग सतह पर अलग अलग बादल है छाए, हम सब भी है कितने अलग, ये इस दुनिया को कौन समझाए. है मायूसी मानव की मजबूरी ऐसी जो काट कलेजा खाए, वो चाहे तुमको सब बताना पर गम का जिक्र तक ना कर पाए. मैं चाहूं ना उम्मीदी बनकर कोई पंछी, मैं चाहूं ना उम्मीदी बनकर कोई पंछी फलक के दश्त में कहीं खो जाए, और मिले इस तंग रूह को एक मुस्कान बस ऐसी, मानो बादलों के बीच कहीं धूप खिल आए, मानो बादलों के बीच कहीं धूप खिल आए. खैर धूप में होती है हमको एक मुट्ठी छांव की ख्वाहिश, पर जब बादल ढक ले आफताब को हम करते हैं फिर धूप की गुजारिश. कुदरत भी इन उलझुल हरकतों से करती है खुद की खूबसूरती की नुमाइश. मैं सोचता हूँ अक्सर ये अकेले क्या, मैं सोचता हूँ अक्सर ये अकेले क्या गम के सैलाब को मिटा सकता है बारिश, क्या गम के सैलाब को मिटा सकता है बारिश. पर फिर छोड़ इन तंग ख्यालों को, मैं देखता हूँ फलक के दश्त आजकल. तुम समझोगे वक्त बहुत है पास मेरे, या करार दोगे कहीं का कोई पागल, पर ना घिरू बार बार बेचैनी और फिक्र से, तभी ओढ़ लेता हूँ फिजाए इश्क की एक कंबल, और देखता हूँ उस आसमां में बड़े इत्मीनान से, देखने उम्मीद के कुछ बादल. पहुंचाता हो सुकून जैसे मेरी अम्मी का आंचल, प्रेम भरा हो जिसमें निर्मल और निश्चल, मैं जकड़ा हूँ आसपास जैसे हो निराशा हताशा ना उम्मीदी के दलदल, तभी देखता हूँ उस आसमां में देखने उम्मीद के कुछ बादल, उम्मीद के कुछ बादल, उम्मीद के कुछ बादल. So yeah, thank you. That's it. Before I end, there are 4 lines. which basically describes the path of creation. So there's a phrase called Rahe Khalkat or Khalak ki Raah, which means path of creation. So this the lines goes like this कि शाम के साए आज बाग में कुछ फूल खिले हैं, शाम के साए आज बाग में कुछ फूल खिले हैं, उम्मीद के बगैर ही चल रहे न जाने कितने काफिले हैं, मैं क्या बताऊं अपने बारे जो आए काम तुम्हारे, मैं क्या बताऊं अपने बारे जो आए काम तुम्हारे, बस इतना समझ लो कि जो निकले कुछ मुसाफिर राहे खलकत पर वो फिर नहीं मिले हैं, जो निकले कुछ मुसाफिर राहे खलकत पर वो फिर नहीं मिले हैं. Shukriya. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Shubhajit, for such a thought-provoking performance. Our fifth speaker for the day is Mr. Sushant Divgekar. Mr. Sushant Divgekar, an artist who is often described as a versatile singer, actor, anchor, qualified counselor, a drag icon, a talent house, and much more, is here to reflect on his journey as a trans person. He was crowned as Mr. Gay India and has represented India in Mr. Gay World in 2014. He, despite facing all the hardships and stereotypes, emerged as the inspiration he is today to the LGBTQ plus community. He has paved the way for a young queer generation to not only acknowledge their identities but also embrace them proudly. He is here to ignite the power of true self-expression and how being who we are and fighting for it can change the perception of millions of people and in the process make this world a better place.
Marcus Aurelius famously quoted that you have power over your mind, not over outside events. And once you realize that, you will find strength. Today I appear in front of you, and I believe that I have achieved this. Hi, I'm Sushant Divgekar, aka Rani Kohinoor. I'm an actor, singer, performer, drag artist, psychologist, and I also happen to be a transgender person. And this is my adventure. I was born to a middle-class Konkani family in Bandra, Mumbai. My father at the time was an appraising officer with the Customs of India, and my mother was a banker. We had a wonderful childhood, but unfortunately, we couldn't spend as much time with our parents. Not to say that they weren't there when we needed them the most, but we were taken care of most of the time by our maternal grandparents, Nana Nani, and we used to call them Amma Papa. They took beautiful care of us. When I say us, my brother and I. Growing up, we were encouraged to participate in sports, in the cultural activities at school, singing, dancing, debates, nearly everything. And we were never pressurized to perform exceedingly well in school or top, be the toppers in our class. And because my father said that in my time I wasn't a topper, so I don't expect you all to be a topper, in his words. And therefore we didn't have any false expectations from our parents. That was amazing. I think it just made us realize our full potential in whatever we wanted to do. But me being me, I did exceedingly well in everything I touched. So whether it was sports, whether it was cultural activities, basically, and I was also pretty good at my curricular activities, which is studies. I, at the time, played 12 sports, and I was the sports captain of my school. I was also a national level swimmer. At one point, I used to, I think, swim for 7 hours a day. And because we needed to, we were competitive swimmers, and I had a couple of records to keep up to, so I had to work really hard back then. And I also won my first ever personality contest in school, and I was Mr. ADM because back then I identified as a boy because I didn't know that I was trans. I didn't identify as a trans person. So I was very different from the other kids in school, not just the boys but other kids, because I used to love to read about science, mythology, I used to love to watch movies that were actually not supposed to be watched by children because they had the A certificate because of, I think, the sex and the cuss words. But I think that it kind of gave me so much perspective, it kind of gave me so much perspective. Even though I was young, I saw such beautiful content, and I didn't see the sex part of it, or I didn't see the A-rated part of it as being A-rated. I think it was just part of life, and I think it was great to learn about all of these things. My father also told us that you learn something new every day, and that's why he said that even if you don't physically believe you've learned anything new today, pick up the dictionary and learn 2 new words. So that explains my plethora of words and my vocabulary. Um, I automatically then realized that I was different, I was unique, and I stood out from the other kids. And that's when I realized I didn't have to fit in. And I think I had a wonderful set of friends. They understood me right from when we were kids. They knew that I was not like them, but I was also tough because I was a sports person. They just loved me for the person I was. I loved them because they were my friends regardless of, what my orientation or gender was. They loved me because of my confidence, because I loved them, and we shared this beautiful friendship. And then after school, we entered college, and I think that was the first time I told my best friend then, Ishita, that I was gay. She still is my best friend. Because she was not my best friend because I was gay or straight. She was just my best friend because we were friends as human beings. And she told me that I must tell my brother because we were in the same friend circle. And she said that, you know what, if he says something, I'm there. I'll whack him if he doesn't accept you the way you are. And I told my brother, initially he was a little perplexed. And then he was like, he hugged me and he said, I'll protect you. Just like an older brother would, I guess. After that, I wanted to tell my parents. I was not ready to tell my parents. That's why I confided in a friend and then my brother. My brother apparently went and told my father that he didn't tell him directly. He insinuated that I attend gay parties and gay events and LGBT pride events. So my father one day just asked me, we were chilling, I was chilling at home, and my father, when he used to come back from work, he was very like serious at work and then very chilled out with us at home, and he just very in conversation asked me, so Shant, are you gay? And I just looked at him. I didn't want to lie to my father. That's one thing our parents have taught us, not to lie. And I just looked at him and I said, yes, Dad, I am. And then he just looked at me and he said, okay. I just wanted to understand and I wanted to hear it from you. But I don't care because you're not my straight child or my gay child. You're my child. And I think that was so beautiful. I get emotional even when I speak about it today. Because I think for a kid, for somebody who's growing up in their formative years, this is beautiful for your parent and your father to stand by you. And he said that from today, I think I'll understand you more. I'll read about the community and it's my duty as your father to protect you. And then he asked me that, do you want to tell your mom by yourself or should I tell her? I said, can I tell someone in this family because it's been going from this one to that one to this one to that one. So I was like, can I please tell my mom? So he was like, yeah, if you need any help, you can tell me. Went to my mom. She was watching some very pathetic TV serial and where this woman is turning into some bee and snake and stuff. And I told her, Mom, I need to tell you something very important. She's like, yeah, tell me in the break. And I said, Mom, it's very life-changing. Can I tell you now? And then keep going?
Yeah, no, but
yeah, but you keep going. Will it be too much?
I don't think so.
We
have a 30-minute.
Okay, great, come. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. No, it's rolling.
So I told my mom, this is something life-changing. It's a very important thing that I need to share with you. So she got very annoyed at me and because she's a drama queen and therefore, you can see what she has produced. But and she said, you know what? If this is about you being gay, I already know. And I was like, well, okay. I didn't have any dramatic coming out story, and I was like, oh, all right. But I was very lucky that I didn't have to face what a lot of other kids face. Uh, a lot of kids don't have very accepting parents, only on the basis of their gender or their orientation. I think it's very sad. And my parents have taught other parents to love your child regardless of the other characteristics that your child might have. Your child might be short, tall, plus size, dark skin, fair skin, blue eyes, gray eyes. Doesn't matter, straight, gay, trans. That's your child first. And I think that I'm just lucky to have the parents I have. And so going into college, as I said, it was a little scary for me. I was a little scared of what other people might say, because I think this is what we've been taught as kids, to feel scared. Log kya kahenge? What will the others say about this? So I was a little scared, but then I realized that my parents are with me. My parents don't have an issue with this. So why should I curb myself? Because our parents taught us to be the best version of ourselves. Our parents taught us to be true to our values, true to our identity and our authenticity. And I think that's what I still hold very close to me. So if somebody's uncomfortable with my existence, I think it's because they're uncomfortable with themselves, not me. I'm fabulous. So I think that that's what I carried forward into my life. And I always held my mom as my idol and my father as my inspiration. And I think I'm a beautiful amalgamation of both of them. Going into my vocation, I never chose to be a model. I never chose to be an artist. I always wanted to be a psychologist so that I could help people, in whatever little way I could. I went ahead, I finished my bachelor's in psychology, in applied psychology with honors. I then went ahead and I finished my master's in industrial and organizational psychology from Mumbai University. And then I did several diplomas in marketing, research, qualitative research, PR and advertising. I also did a diploma, post-grad diploma in organizational behavior and development. And then I did 2 extremely different diplomas in yoga and dance therapy. At one point, I think I had 3 jobs, which to a 20-year-old is very fascinating, but I used to die because it was so tiring. But I just wanted to work to challenge myself, because a lot of people say that you can't do more than one thing at a time, and I think that that's ridiculous. I don't think anybody should be told that you can't do multiple things at one time, and you like a jack of all trades and master of none. That's complete BS. And I think that I've seen a lot of people that I hold as inspirations. My mother and my dad, for example, they've done so many beautiful things and have done it fantastically well. So I did all of these things, and I urge everybody to explore and do whatever you're good at doing. I think it's great to explore, right? So I had 3 jobs. I was giving tuitions, I was working as a market research analyst, and I was a senior trainer with Terence Lewis's dance company. And then I think I dabbled a little in modeling, because my brother at that time was a model, and he said, you must go for this audition. So my first audition went down the drain, because I think one of my videos also has gone viral saying that this casting director told me, didn't even walk in, and he said that you're too gay for this advertisement. And I was like, you're selling toothpaste, and gay people also brush their teeth. What do you mean you're too gay for this toothpaste? So I was very sassy, right since, my teens, and I think even before that. Blame my mother. But good that she was my mom, and I used to pick this up from my mother. So, and then my second audition I got, and then from there, my TV career started. I became a host on television. I got all these awards, and oh my God, people started loving me. I love it. I love everybody that loves me. I actually love everybody that hates me also, because they still consume my content. But, and then I realized that, oh my God, like this is really happening. I'm becoming this person that I hadn't planned to become. But I still finished my degree, and I was simultaneously working. So, as I said earlier, it's not like you can't do both. I think you should totally do whatever you feel like doing and ace it if you can. Even if you can't, I think it's a learning process, right? So just chill. Don't take life so seriously. I think just have fun with it, just live in the moment, and that's what I was very, very happy doing. And at the time we didn't have a lot of people that we could look up to in the entertainment industry, but today when you see the difference between, I'm a millennial, by the way. Does that mean I'm old? Did I give my age up? Damn! But I just want to say that the Gen Z population, by the way, is so woke and lit, and I'm not too much older than y'all, but I am substantially older than y'all. But from that 10 years back, we didn't even know what content creation was. We didn't know what social media was. And today, I think you all have so much information on your fingertips, literally on your phones. I think it's beautiful that you have all this information available to you. You all have content available to you, and you all have the availability of creating content. I think it's fabulous. That's why I think that you all are more aware of so many things that we were not even, I didn't know I was trans till I was 30. So that's how my modeling career began. Then I participated in Mr. Gay World India in 2014. And then I represented India at an international platform at the age of 23. And I came back with a world record because I won 4 subtitles. I won People's Choice. I won Mr. Congeniality. I won Arts and Challenge because I sang in 4 octaves and in 2 voices. And I won the Sports Challenge. When I came back, I was so happy, and I was of course proud of myself, but even happier because I represented my country. And today when I see the millennials and the Gen Z, not the millennials to hum hai. Gen Z is so woke and so lit, and they know so much about so many things. When I came back, there wasn't so much social media, there wasn't so much content. I think social media has allowed people to consume content, information, and also create content. Also, the representation the community has received in the years has been immense, and thanks to the work, the mainstream work of people like Faraz Ansari, Onir, Apurva Asrani, Ghazal Daliwal, Keshav Suri, we've come a long way, but there's still a lot of effort that needs to be put in and to accomplish an equal playing ground for queer people that identify under the spectrum of LGBTQIA+. I hope to contribute to this by creating and producing my own content, singing, dancing, acting, of course. And maybe one day we don't have to identify as gay artists or transgender artists, but just artists. I think that everybody should be given the opportunity to explore their full capabilities. And this will only happen once I think we stop judging people for their gender orientation, where they come from, where they go to. I believe, it is my duty, I take it on myself, to pursue all my passions so that it could work and serve as a representation or an example for the generations to come. I used to identify as a gay man, and now I identify as a transgender person. But I have come to understand that it doesn't matter anymore. I'm an artist first and everything else later. I have realized my full potential at 30, and it doesn't matter what people think of me anymore, because I've come too far from where I started, and now it's too late to look back and be bothered about what people's opinion about me are. I keep myself motivated through all these years by igniting that fire. I don't ever let it not burn, and I think that to reach your full potential, to make sure that you don't feel down, I think you need to have that fire inside you. Wherever you reach, however big you become in life, I think keep that flame inside you burning, because only you can do it. There will be a lot of people that will try to put you down, and all of us have our qualms, but we also have the zeal and It is up to us to encourage ourselves. Once you do that, you will definitely, and trust me when I say this, will be unstoppable. And with that, I just want to tell you that you have to and you must, for your own good health, namaste another day. Every day. Thank you.
Most gorgeous personalities we have met today. The way he portrays himself is absolutely stunning, and his journey is equally beautiful.
Our second last speaker for the day is Neha Sharma Iyer. Miss Neha Sharma Iyer is an Indian film actress, radio jockey, and television presenter. She made her silver screen acting debut with the Malayalam movie Tharangam. Her other projects include a web series titled XYX and film Ribbon, which marked her debut in Hindi language film. But all this fame wasn't a cakewalk for her. There's a big reason that ignited her to attain fame, which will be unveiled in her talk. Despite everything, she did not succumb to the difficulties and showed what a woman can attain single handedly. She's a grief survivor who fought against all odds. Let's experience her beautiful journey.
A happily ever after. Something we all look forward to in life. The pursuit of true everlasting love. Valentine's Day just went by. I'm sure we can associate to this all the more. Hi, my name is Neha Sharma Iyer. I'm an actor and former radio jockey. And my story is about love, grief, and of celebration. And of the choices we make. Like some really lucky people in the world, I too was very lucky to have found true love, or rather blessed that love chose me. It was in college when I met my then best friend Avinash. Avinash loved me truly, madly, deeply, as truly as one can love another. And I was really lucky. After 8 years of togetherness, we tied the knot. Avinash was my everything rolled into one. He was my best friend, my husband, my father figure, my sibling. Literally like a friend, philosopher, guide. I mean, I couldn't even think out loud without having my ideas pass through him. It was like he was literally a second me. And we were both absolutely interdependent. We would take all our decisions together. Life was fun. It was really a celebration. But I didn't really have many friends. Like it did not matter. As long as we were together, we really didn't need anybody. We literally kind of grew up together. I mean, we saw our first jobs, successes, disappointments, a lot of traveling, building a home and a life together. And then we stood by each other through difficult times as well. When I lost my mother, he lost his younger brother. We saw it all together. Finally, after 6 years of marriage, the time seemed right, and we decided to take our relationship to the next level and be parents. And very, very luckily for us, we even conceived in the first try naturally. So it was just beautiful. It was surreal. There was this feeling of peace and stability. But I remember neither of us, expressed joy overtly or celebrated when we had seen that result on that stick. We were both, we both had gone through our personal losses. We were a little scared of, we might jinx it. A news so beautiful. So we let it take its time to sink in. But 5 days after we found out I'm pregnant, things took a very different turn. It was the evening of 11th January 2019. My husband came back home from work. And like any other day, he went down to play his favorite sport, table tennis. It was a Friday, and I remember, we would have celebrated that weekend the news of our pregnancy. We had not celebrated it. It was just so new. So I remember I was sitting up with a friend, with a close friend, and I was literally breaking the news of my pregnancy to her when the phone rang. It was my mother-in-law on the other side, and she asked me to rush and check on him down because apparently she got a very frantic call that he's collapsed while playing. So right that moment, my heart started pounding. It was like an uncanny feeling, of knowing deep within that something's really not right. And it due to a warning of sorts. Like that came up like a very strong fear. So I rushed down with a bottle of water in one hand and glucose in the other. And there he was, lying like what felt unconscious, what looked like unconscious in a crowd. And suddenly that fear was shut down internally. Shock and denial took over. And even the slightest thought of the worst case scenario had no place in my mind. My fight over flight instinct took over, and I got into this hyperdrive of taking charge and doing something about things. So I jumped in and I started doing CPR and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and I called the ambulance. I even yelled over them on the phone for responding so casually. And I was mobilizing people in the society, asking people to arrange a car. All of this, all the while not checking his pulse or even having that thought come into my mind, because it just, yeah, shock and denial. He was long gone even when I was performing CPR on him, but it's something that I realized much later. So my in-laws were a distance away. I rushed him to this ICU all by myself, and a good Samaritan from our society. It was in those moments of aloneness outside the ICU when I first broke down. I remember I hugged a stranger, this woman who was there, and I cried my fears out for the first time. And I collected myself soon after. I witnessed the surreal unfolding of events that happened thereafter with absolute numbness, because I could just not feel anything. It just, what hit me, what just happened. I mean, they declared him dead in front of me. Watching the love of my life, the father of my unborn child, first child, leave me at a time when I need him the most in life was incomprehensible. I just had one question in my head: what am I supposed to do now? It was shock, to say the least. And the timing could not have been more cruel. But, I mean, call it divine intervention or whatever. The timing could not have been more surreal either. 9 months down, when my baby boy was born, Ansh was born on Avinash's birthday. That's right. My baby boy was born on my husband's birthday. Strange are the ways of the universe, really. Back when all this happened, it was not even a question in my head, whether to go ahead with this pregnancy or not. That was never a question. I was very sure of that. But what really was the question then was, how do I pick up my life from this and move ahead now that this has happened? It was right then that I made a decision. I'm going to fight this head on. I refuse to be a victim. It was almost like as though anger took over as a defense mechanism. And that it was like, me showing my middle finger to the universe. Watch me take this on. My first instinct was of self-preservation, of taking care of, protecting my child and taking care of our needs. But after the initial anger response, it became more of a conscious choice. A choice to be happy, regardless of whatever has happened. The first month was difficult, I remember. I had shut myself to the world completely. And I just allowed myself to feel what I felt. Most days were spent locked up in a room. But after about 23 days, I completely snapped out of it. I allowed the grief to consume me for a while, and then I just snapped out. I decided that I'm going to take charge of that, what I can in my control, what I can do. And that was to make it a healthy, happy pregnancy for the two of us, for me and my baby. Also, I was aware of the damage that stress can cause on the mental well-being on an unborn fetus. So for an unborn child. So I did everything in my capacity to make it a very healthy and happy pregnancy. I mean, there were times when I would allow myself to feel and process the grief as well, but I tried more to focus on, the good things, the silver linings, the blessings surrounding my life at any given point. I remember I used to listen to a lot of positive affirmations, go on long walks. I used to do a lot of prenatal yoga, or I used to dance a lot, and I made sure I surrounded myself with, friends and happy people. I even went on my own baby moon alone to London in my 7th month of pregnancy. That it really sucked, and I cried through most of it. Remembering him and grieving him is another story for another day. But I did it. I did whatever I could. But jokes apart, when we're met with a difficult situation in life, we honestly just have two choices: to go down or to pull yourself up. In 2016, I had lost my mother to depression. This was 3 years before Avinash passed away. And I had really closely seen her battle depression. Unfortunately, she gave into it, and it was very difficult for her. But after having experienced grief and the guilt associated with suicide, I had understood that letting myself go down was simply not an option. As I speak today, I realize that it's not really that simple. If you're going through a difficult time, I feel you. I totally understand that, when life hits you with a sledgehammer and you're least expecting it, it can throw you off. But how you pull yourself up is up to you. As chapter 6, verse 5 in Bhagavad Gita goes, lift yourself by yourself, and after having lifted yourself, don't allow yourself to be dragged down again. There's a verse that's called Uddharet Atmana Atmanam Na Atmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva hi Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripu Atmanaha, which means you yourself are your biggest friend and you yourself are your biggest enemy. So lift yourself by yourself. These were powerful verses that I grew up with, and I was very fortunate to be, in a spiritual environment thanks to my father. And it was like these stood by me as reminders through my difficult times as an adult as well. But apart from this, what really helped me deal with my loss and gave me strength along with this was Vipassana meditation, or Vipassana as some people call it. The technique of Vipassana actually helped me understand the impermanence of everything. And that phrase, it helped me internalize that phrase that we all have heard, this too shall pass. Meditation, I can't stop and emphasize enough the importance of it, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot, but how to maintain equanimity and equilibrium through all these kind of different situations in pairs of opposites and experiences is something that I learned at a very, very, very intrinsic level in meditation, and that was what really held me together. I was fortunate that I was rooted in this understanding already when Avinash passed away, and otherwise I don't know if I would have been really able to take the impact of the loss. But these were things that really helped me. I mean, I'm sharing my journey here today. But I also, having gone through grief twice and so closely, I feel that there is, very little understanding about grief and how to deal with it today. More so in our country. I mean, people don't know what to say and how to deal with it. Grief, as I have learned through my experience, is a very non-linear and personal journey. Everyone processes grief in their own unique ways, and there is no right or wrong. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. It's okay to be, feel vulnerable and be there at the spot, like completely be there, own it, and then let it go, pass away. Like, I would not have been able to do all of this alone. Definitely, I have taken everybody's help, like my entire family, my in-laws, my father, my sister, my beautiful God-sent neighbors who are like family. I was there, and that's what gave me strength, So I've accepted everybody's help, and which is what helps you move forward, in any difficult time. So it may not be grief you may be going through, you may be going through anything, even a breakup for that matter. Just speak to anybody. If you're close to, if you don't want to go to a professional, just speak to anybody who you can let your heart out to, is the most important thing that I can say. Of course, all of this, none of it is hunky-dory. You may open my Instagram page and see all happy pictures and say that, wow, I really have no issues. No, I have my very bad days as well, and most of them are like, I weep alone, and then I weep with a friend, and I weep with whatever. But I choose to, life is what you choose to focus on. What you choose to focus on actually defines your life. And we all deserve happiness. So, let's not forget that. Actually, the fact is that we are also conditioned to believe that happiness lies in things and people and association with things. Well, while they while there's no denying that these things do bring in happiness as well, but that doesn't mean you can't be happy without them. My life with Avinash was really happy. It was carefree, and the camaraderie we shared was just pure joy. And we were looking forward to growing old together. But he's no more, and I'm here. And I'm still complete as I was with him. So I'm going to go celebrate his life. I'm going to remember the good times we had. And the wonderful fact that his baby is born on his birthday, will make sure we do celebrate it every year. I mean, my baby turns 2.5 now, and I keep talking to him about Avinash. And I always will. Avinash will live on. But meanwhile, I'm also going to celebrate myself. Avinash would have liked it that way. Our loved ones want to see us happy. Happiness is a choice. I choose to be happy, and I am enough. I think if we all remind ourselves of that, it makes healing a lot easier. And the fact that we are complete no matter what. I am complete. You can only play the cards you've been dealt with. And honestly, they're your cards. So own it, just own all of it. It's your unique journey. How I really feel about it is that if something happens to us, we don't need to just don't just tolerate it. Live it and celebrate it. Ignite, if I may say. Ignite your own will, your own fire, and your own hope. You are all you have, and you are all you need. If I can do it, so can you. And again, I'm gonna close this by saying that this too shall pass. If I can, so can you.
That was indeed beautiful. Her story taught us to celebrate each moment, despite the hardships, and be grateful for whatever is yet to come. Our last speaker for the day is Mr. Shubhankar De. Mr. Shubhankar De is an Indian badminton player. He's currently training in Mumbai at his own badminton academy and parallelly running his academy at Sodepur, Kolkata. He played for the Bengaluru Blasters and Awadhe Warriors in the Premier Badminton League. He is the champion of the Sarla Lux Open, runner-up of Italian Open tournament. For Mr. De, life means badminton. He became a champion after toils of struggle since his early childhood. He is a true predicament of the quote that champions aren't made in the gyms. They are made from something they have deep inside them, a desire and an unfathomable drive. And we at TEDxKCCollege are glad to have him as a speaker.
Playing for India was a childhood dream of mine. And now that I have been it for 6 years, I don't want it to end. State tournaments, nationals and international all seemed like an illusion once. Being India number 1, winning the Salalux Open, beating my idol 2 times Olympic gold medalist Lindan, to attaining a bronze medal in Asian Team Championship and reaching the Italian International Finals To date, I pinch myself to see if I'll just wake from my sleep. Hi, I'm Shubhankar Dey, and this is my story. It all started with my brother and sister. They were the ones that got me into badminton. My father passed away when I was 2, and all the responsibilities, financial and otherwise, pondered onto my elder brother. He asked my sister to also get me playing when I was about 8 years old. I was really young when I joined the Raipur club under the guidance of late Mr. Badal Bhattacharya and Mr. Laltu Guha. It was a small but special club for me. I nearly trained there for 12 years. But this club was very far away from my home. And obviously, me being young, I had to be accompanied by someone. My sister was the someone. She had been given the responsibility to taking me to and from the academy. And to say the least, it had become tedious for her, not only because of the distance, but also in terms of managing her own study. I used to practice there for hours, almost like 4 or 5 hours in a day. So 2 p.m. we used to leave, and 12 p.m. in the night we used to come back at home. So I was getting better and started performing in under 13s, under 16s, played one state championship for Bengal, met a few people in the hierarchy there, related to the nationals. Then at 16, I received a job offer from Food Corporation of India. And as the name suggested, it was a government job. Coming from a middle class family background, it was a very big thing for my family. And naturally, they wanted me to join, but something in me wasn't really convinced. But I decided to give it a shot. That was the only day I laid my feet in the office, and I immediately realized that this wasn't for me. If I were to take that job, I would have had to work for 4 or 5 hours a day and then go for training. So I didn't want to do that. So I decided I don't want to follow through with it. My family was not at all happy with my sole focus on badminton. They didn't want me to not have a job and only playing badminton basically. But all I wanted to do is play. And with that thought process, without telling anyone, I left my home with $500 in my pocket and took a train to Mumbai for better prospects. I joined the academy there because of the coach. I was in contact with him through all that had happened in those days, and only took leave of faith because of the trust I had in him. I trained there for about 2 years. In the early days, I used to miss my family a lot, almost like 3 to 4 months we haven't spoken. But it was my zeal for the game that kept me going. When the under-19s came, I was performing well. But for nationals, things were not really going great. The facilities were far better than those from my hometown, but not the best. And for my next step, the international, I wanted to go to the better environment for my development. So I found Mr. Tom John. He was a coach and he was coaching in an academy in Bangalore. So I found myself there. He was a very, very hardworking coach. Changed my lifestyle, play style, made me an international player from a national one. I learned a lot of things being under him. I achieved India number 1 working under him. But as they say, all good things must come to an end. And the saga of mine was just hanging by a loose thread. I had been facing financial issues. There for a fair bit. I was also coaching at my academy. I mean, I had to, because I really had no money left. And to pay the fees, I really had to coach for 2 hours. I sometimes even skipped my lunch or dinner in order to save money. Tom and the management was really aware of my problems, but he couldn't really do much but about being the part of the structure. But I thought being Indians #1 would help me with getting sponsorship, both privately and from the federation, but that didn't really happen for me. Then only world's top 10 to 20 ranking used to get such kind of deals, they used to get sponsorship, otherwise not really for us. I had to miss out a lot of international tournaments, and that time I really had to play a lot of international tournaments, but I couldn't do that because of lack of support. But in the end, it was all getting too much, and I had to leave Bangalore. Starting approaching bigger clubs who could give me a little bit of support, where I couldn't really had to give, pay the fees and everything, but nobody was really coming forward and supporting me. Nothing was really working out. Then I found a coach in Pune. I was in a talking terms with him. So he told me that, okay, I will help you. So he gave me the support. I got an apartment, free food, free training, everything. He was supporting me. But the training was not really better. So I could save a little bit of money because he didn't really charge me anything. With that money, I was thinking to go to Malaysia for 1 month. It was a temporary training for a month. And I shared that thing with him, like, okay, I want to go to Malaysia and train for my betterment. But he was not really happy with that. He told me that if you want to go, then looking at you, other players will also want to go. And I don't want to take that risk. But I had to go for my betterment. So, unluckily, my academy wasn't very supportive of this decision, as they feared that others might do the same. But as I was just thinking of that skill set that I would acquire there for the betterment of my game, I left and I practiced there for a month. Once I finished my 1 month of practice over there, I wanted to come back to Pune again. I spoken to my coach and he said like, okay, no, we cannot take you anymore. So I was in a really tough spot that time, and I didn't know where to go. Luckily, I got a friend who was from Bengal. He was my senior, named Jishnu Sanyal. He gave me that idea that why don't you go to Europe and play for a club? With that thing, maybe it would be really good for you to travel for the international tournament. So I immediately said, okay, fine, you give me the details. And he gave me almost like 20 to 25 club information, and I mailed all of them. And luckily I got a response from one of the Danish clubs. So my bags were packed and I just had to come to India and do my documentations and the visa part. So I have done that and I flew. The time I had there was nothing like what I had imagined. It was so different, especially my first year in Denmark. It was a big culture change, and even when it came to sports, it was quite different to what I used to be in India. I would usually study for half the day and then train for the rest. Even though when I was training with the players in Denmark, they were all like, all of them were there in sports college, so they were not really very professional guys. So I was really having a lot of difficulties over there to train really professional, working really hard. But it was difficult at the start, plus you don't have any friends to go out with when you are free or talk about the pressure that's upon you, even if you want to vent out your frustrations after the game that you may have lost. My routine there was train, study, go for the games and repeat. It was becoming lovely and also monotonic. And financially too, it wasn't really helpful because I used to be left with nothing significant after going for the matches. The travel cost, food, it was costing me so much for all the international tournaments, keep traveling, hands and forth. The extra mile and the stay in a hotel for a night, all to, it was really charging me a lot of cost. I came to India during my breaks thinking I won't go back there and find an opportunity here itself. But then another club contacted me and offered a way better deal than what I had previously. And that club was in Copenhagen, so I could really manage my, travel part, So I thought like, okay, fine, let us, at least it will be better for me for the international tournaments. Let's give it a shot. And this time, everything was way more suitable for me. I was performing well in international championship, enjoying my game, having fun, living with the Danish family there. That was comfortable, and it was the best part because I was feeling like I'm staying with my own family. I had a small brother. I was sharing my stories with him, and he was really getting motivated. So we were really gelling together so well. So I was very happy. So I ended up staying there for 3 years. I kept signing the contract for 3 years, and I was very happy. So I wanted to have so the thing is, like, there when I was in Denmark, one day I was thinking like, okay, I wanted to have my own academy, not one for just established players, but one where everyone is given an equal platform to perform with full backing from the organization. And when I came back to India in 2018, that's what I did, following in the footsteps of my first ever trainer, mentor, my father figure, Mr. Badal Bhattacharya sir. He taught me to give back. I started my own academy in Kolkata. How could I not? That's the place where I started, and I knew the lack of infrastructure there is a cause of concern for upcoming players. There are huge potential kids are there, but they are not getting the right training. I was there for about 2 years, and then I had to shift to Mumbai for my family's convenience. Interestingly, this time I was moving to this city for them, not against their wishes. The first time I finally reached out to my family a few months after leaving home, and they were content. So to say with the choice that I made. And now my siblings help the academy in my absence. My sister taking care of the administration's part. My brother, he's part of the company, and also my sister part of the company. So we all working as a team. I do wanted to go back to Kolkata. I still want to go back to Kolkata and do something there. I'm just waiting for the right golden opportunity to strike. Until then, I plan on improving what we have there, providing players with every resource they would need under one roof so that their talent doesn't have to seize its heights. So wake up, chase your dreams, make them your reality. Someone along the way will help you out, or you will figure out something yourself. Don't let that fire inside yourself burn out when you can be the enlightenment. And as for my future, I want to be the change that not only ignites someone else's candle of dreams, but also fulfills its own potential to be the best. Badminton was, is, and will be my passion, intertwined with my persona. Thank you.
What a sporty spirit he has instilled in us. His journey has taught us how ceaseless dedication and passion can pave way for success in our life. There are countless journeys we live today. Let us conclude with this one unique but truly motivational journey, which showed us so many aspects of pursuing what we really love, and it's always in your control to make it happen.
What an event it has been. But before moving ahead, we would like to take this moment to thank our respected President of HSNC Board, Mr. Kishu Mansakhani, Honorable Provost, HSNC University and Trustee HSNC Board, Dr. Naranjan Hiranandani, beloved Principal Ma'am and Vice Principals for their continuous guidance and support. also like to thank the very organizer of TEDxKCCollege, our mentor, a woman of paramount strength. Her candor, gumption, and passion are a few attributes that outshine others in all aspects. With a plethora of ideas and lessons for a lifetime, she imparts wisdom like none other. Presenting to you the woman who started it all, our inspiration, Dr. Ritika Pathak. Calmness is the cradle of power. She has been a keen, calm, and composed jovial manager to us. Her vast array of experiences has brought a bunch of spurring ideas and the will to expedite them with an order to the committee. Her serene approach has enriched our minds to achieve every goal. With her empiricism and humble attitude, she has been the brain cell of our team. Introducing our placid co-organizer, Ms. Tuti Agarwal ma'am. If you have discipline, drive, and determination, nothing is impossible. She is our guiding force. Her zeal has acted as the most crucial piece of our committee's puzzle. Time and again, she has made sure that everything runs smoothly, right from follow-up actions, deadlines to other testing and exalting tasks. The fuel to our engine, who ensures that all our acceleration is applied within the parameters of regulation with no loss of traction. Introducing our passionate co-organizer, Ms. Amisha.
Moreover, we would like to thank our speakers, Ms. Dilna Zarani, Mr. Anant Lada, Mr. Sachin Garekar, Mrs. Kunal Vijayakar, Mr. Sushant Divgekar, Ms. Neha Sharma Iyer, and Mr. Shubhankar De for gracing our event, sharing their enlightening journeys, and making our event a grand success.
We would like to take this moment to thank our amazing chairperson, Sneha Gaur, beloved vice chairpersons, Maria Sitwalwala, Nishchal Garg, Sagar Marve, and Tanisha Marekar, and of course, our beloved committee members. Without you all, this wouldn't be possible. Lastly, we would like to thank our lovely audience.
Let's go! Ignite has varied meanings. It could be related to an event, an idea, a personality, a movement, or a revolution. Like one of the most significant events in Indian history, the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857. It was this very event that ignited the spark of nationalism amongst the Indians, which led to the commencement of the Indian freedom struggle.
Ignition is the first step towards awakening. All you have to do is unveil what ignites you, find your true calling, and ask yourself, what is it that you truly desire? Thank you. And these are your hosts, Anjali Vish and Antarlina Roy, signing off. Let's go!